Operation Epic Fury. Iran just made the biggest mistake of the last 47 years. An Iranian drone struck a CIA station inside the U.S. Embassy compound in Riyadh. A ballistic missile slammed into Udeid Air Base in Qatar, the largest American military installation in the entire Middle East. Now, 6 American heroes have given their lives in Operation Epic Fury. And while Tehran tests our resolve with every rocket launch, some Democrats in Congress are actually trying to tie President Trump's hands. But here's what the Ayatollahs didn't count on. Thousands of Kurdish fighters just launched a ground offensive into Iran itself. The regime is crumbling, and President Trump, well, he is not backing down. Now, this is not some faraway conflict that doesn't affect you. This is about your sons and daughters in uniform. This is about the price you pay at the gas pump when the Middle East spirals into chaos. This is about whether America projects strength or weakness on the world stage because our enemies are watching. Iran has been killing Americans for 47 years. They funded every terrorist proxy from Hezbollah to Hamas. They were racing towards a nuclear weapon until President Trump ripped up Obama's disastrous nuclear deal. Now Tehran is firing missiles at our bases, targeting our intelligence officers, and gambling that America will blink. Speaker Johnson, he laid out plainly after the classified briefing that Iran was building a ballistic missile at a speed and scale that exceeded our allies' ability to respond. Now, this wasn't just saber rattling. This was an imminent threat, and yet even now, some members of Congress want to invoke the War Powers Act to stop our commander-in-chief from defending American lives. That's not opposition, that's called sabotage, and the stakes could not be higher. And speaking of threats to American security, there's another battle being waged right here at home against your financial future. New numbers out of Washington show that inflation is on the rise again, another threat to you, your savings account, and your retirement. So ask yourself an honest question. Does your dollar go as far as it did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even last year? So what does the next decade look like for you and your savings? When missiles are flying in the Middle East and uncertainty grips the market, smart Americans are looking at gold, one of history's most reliable economic hedges. Gold has kept up with inflation, and in many periods, it's outpaced it entirely. That's why you need to talk to my friends at Noble Gold Investments. They're helping everyday Americans protect their hard-earned wealth, and right now they're offering a free 10th-ounce American Gold Eagle to qualifying new customers. Go to nextnewsgold.com to claim yours while supplies last. That's nextnewsgold.com, because your financial security matters just as much as our national security. Now let me show you exactly what's unfolding on the ground, because what happened in the last 24 hours changes everything. Now, this is what the mainstream media is not telling you. This is not just about missiles and drones anymore. The Iranian regime is facing a ground invasion. Kurdish forces, battle-hardened fighters who know that terrain. They've crossed into Iran by the thousands, and the Pentagon is using words like decimated and destroyed and defeated to describe Iran's military forces just 5 days into Operation Epic Fury. President Trump himself rated our military progress a 15 out of 10. The Ayatollahs thought they could outlast us. Well, they were dead wrong. Now we have word from Speaker Johnson after the briefing on Epic Fury. Let's listen. Oh, we'll get the audio for you in just a moment. Bring that back up for you. Sometimes we just have to make sure all the wires are plugged in. Okay, I think we've got it now.
Others who have said this over and over, I'm not sure why there are lingering questions about this. This is really a very simple matter. It's about the building of ballistic missiles. That's what Iran was engaged in. And they were doing it here, and they've been very consistent from the beginning that the objective, the mission here, the rationale for it is very clear and very simple. You've heard it articulated over and over and over from the President of the United States, from the Secretary of State, from the Secretary of War, myself, and many others who have said this over and over. I'm not sure why there are lingering questions about this. This is really a very simple matter. It's about the building of ballistic missiles. That's what Iran was engaged in. And they were doing it at a speed and at a scale that was exceeding the ability of our regional allies to respond appropriately. This created an imminent and serious threat. It also gave them cover to continue with their nuclear ambitions. As you know, we tried very hard to negotiate with them about that nuclear enrichment of uranium. We tried to talk with them about their continuing to fund their proxies, all the terrorist organizations that have wreaked havoc and killed Americans and American citizens. And the buildup of their missiles was so important and so serious that the President of the United States, this president, thought that it was a great enough threat that we needed to act. We had a narrow and unique opportunity, a window of opportunity to act, and if that window had passed, it would have been much more difficult for us to achieve the mission. The mission is very simple. It's twofold. We take out their ability to launch ballistic missiles and to produce ballistic missiles, and we downgrade their Navy. That's it. That's what we're doing. It's short in scope. It does not violate the law in any way. It was explained here very well.
So that was right after a classified briefing laid out the intelligence justification for epic fury, but Iran wasn't waiting around. They did strike immediately. Here is more from Speaker Johnson.
The president is well within his constitutional authority to do what he has done, and it is entirely consistent with the history of former presidents for at least 4 decades. There's no question about this. The Democrats never had any question about it when Democrat presidents were using this authority. When you look at the analysis of the War Powers Act and the law that applies and the powers that are given to the Commander-in-Chief under Article 2 of the Constitution, President Trump has done exactly what he should do. He is squarely within the law. He used his discretion and his authority and the intelligence that he had, exquisite as it was, as is demonstrated by its effectiveness, and he did what he should have done as a commander-in-chief. The idea that a few colleagues here would try to move a war powers motion and resolution to the floor right now is dangerous. Imagine a scenario where Congress would vote to tell the commander-in-chief that he was no longer allowed to complete this mission. That would be a very dangerous thing. You see that Iran is firing almost seemingly indiscriminately at targets. They're trying to intimidate America. They're trying to test our resolve. And the idea that there's some members of this legislative body that would play along with that plays right into the hands of the enemy. And I think it's shameful. I do believe we have the votes to defeat it. I certainly hope we do, because we have lots of troops, service members in harm's way right now, and the balance of this thing is hanging there. It's been very effective thus far. It needs to be completed. We don't need Congress getting in the way of that.
Imagine what would happen if there was a full stop in this entire operation in the moment. It would be devastating. His warning about testing and resolve just became reality. Fox News is breaking direct attacks on U.S. facilities. Listen.
At a Fox News alert, an official source has confirmed that a suspected Iranian drone has hit a CIA station in Saudi Arabia's capital. Jennifer Griffin is live in Washington. Jennifer, what do we know?
Well, Jessica, we've confirmed with an official source that, in fact, it was an Iranian drone that struck the station, the CIA station in Riyadh. It was part of that U.S. Embassy compound, part of that drone strike last night that led to damage at the embassy. This is certainly a symbolic victory for the IRGC. Nobody was injured. Nobody was at the embassy at the time. The Washington Post was the first to report on the incident, and that it was, in fact, the CIA station that was targeted and hit. But what this indicates is that drones, the Iranian drones, are going to be a big problem. They can take out the missile launchers and even the missile stockpiles, but they have thousands, if not tens of thousands of these drones, and anyone can put them in the back of a truck and fire them. These are really the new suicide bombs of the next phase in the Middle East, and they're going to be a problem for some time.
Drone attacks escalating. Embassy hit. This is the opening move. Iran escalating massive strike on the biggest regional military hub. Iranian ballistic missile struck the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East.
In Tel Aviv, with this breaking news, an Iranian missile we have just learned has hit the largest U.S. military base in the Middle East. Now, this news is just coming into CNN. Here's what we know this very moment. Qatar says an Iranian ballistic missile has struck Udeid Air Base, as I said, the biggest American base in the region. We don't know much more. No casualties reported as of yet. Again, we don't know what we don't know, but we do know they are saying it was a ballistic missile. It's obviously a significant development. And as that is coming in, we are learning that the CIA is also working.
So ballistic missiles are now in the air. Iran pounding our base with missiles. The U.S. has now unleashed proxy forces to take the fight directly to Iranian soil. U.S. official confirming thousands of Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive into Iran.
This just in, it's big. A U.S. official telling Fox thousands of Iraqi Kurds have launched a ground offensive in Iran. Decimated, destroyed, defeated. All words the Pentagon used to describe Iran's various military forces on day 5 of Operation Epic Fury. Moments ago, President Trump.
Day 5, Operation Epic Fury, Kurdish fighters storming into Iran now. President Trump just moments ago declaring the operation is succeeding beyond expectations. Listen.
Doing very well on the war front, to put it mildly, I would say. Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15. And we're going to continue to do well. We have the greatest military in the world by far. And that was a tremendous threat to us for many years. 47 years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world. And I think we have great support. And I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible. And if we didn't terminate the worst deal, one of the worst deals ever made, the Obama nuclear deal, I call it the Obama nuclear deal, where he gave everything to Iran, including a nuclear weapon. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. Bad things would have happened 4 years ago, because they would have had a weapon 4 years ago if I didn't terminate that deal. So we're in a very strong position now, and their leadership is just rapidly going. Everybody that seems to want to be a leader, they end up dead. And it's an amazing thing that's taking place before your eyes, because for 47 years we were pushed around, and we shouldn't have been. And I think I can say, and you see it as well as I do, you see the tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies. And, you know, it's really a nation that was out of control, and they would have used it on us if we let them, if we waited any longer.
President Trump not willing to wait any longer. His confidence about wiping out Iranian missiles comes at a devastating cost. The White House now confirming our first casualties. Here's the press secretary just a few moments ago.
I want to also extend our prayers and condolences to the families of the 6 U.S. military service members who have been lost in Operation Epic Fury. These heroes represent the very best among us. They laid down their lives in defense of our country, and we will never forget their legacy or their sacrifice. As the president said, we grieve for these American patriots and their families as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. President Trump intends to attend the dignified transfer of these American heroes to stand in grief alongside their families. I understand the Department of War is working on scheduling this transfer, and we will provide updates at the appropriate time.
So there was the press secretary revealing the first casualties of war. But let me explain what is really happening here, what the establishment doesn't want you to understand. For decades, Iran operated with impunity because American leaders were afraid to act decisively. Obama gave them pallets of cash and a pathway to nuclear weapons. Biden let them rebuild. But President Trump, he remembered the 47 years of dead Americans. He saw the intelligence showing Iran racing towards missiles that could overwhelm our allies, and he did what commander-in-chiefs are supposed to do. He protected American lives. The Iranian leadership is being eliminated one by one. Their missile stockpiles are burning, and now Kurdish ground forces are finishing what our air campaign started. This is what happens when America is led by strength and not appeasement. So 6 American heroes laid down their lives for this mission, and President Trump will be there when their remains come home. This is the kind of leader we have now, one who honors sacrifice and doesn't apologize for American power, doesn't check his watch when the bodies return home. The Democrats calling for war powers resolutions right now are playing directly into Iran's hands. Speaker Johnson is right to call it shameful. This is a time for unity, not political games. So here's my question for you. Do you stand with President Trump and our military, or do you stand with the politicians who want to let Iran off the hook? Drop your answer in the comments right now. If the story opened your eyes, smash the subscribe button, share this video with every patriot that you know, and don't forget to check out the Next News merch shelf below this video and show the world where you stand. I'm Gary Franchi. Stay informed and stay free.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now. You know out.